So before we get to the Q&A, I just want to talk just a minute about the finalists. We've sort of referred to this a couple of times. So in early September, finalists will be notified and we'll do a training session on what's required. The finalists present their projects to the membership through a short video and a project summary. The project summary is taken directly from the application. And we announce and celebrate all grant recipients, high impact as well as smaller support grants. So every finalist gets a grant, one of the large ones or a small one. And we do that during grant award night on October 28th. And so here's key dates. You all have seen these dates before, but I just want to get them top of mind. The project application window is already open. Applications are due Friday, May 31st at 5 p.m. So that's a very hard deadline. The grant review process will go on this summer, and finalists will be announced in September. Please do not wait until the end. We see a lot more errors and issues and no time to correct them with applications that get submitted on the last day. So for questions over the next few weeks, you may have some that come up. Here is the best way to get a hold of us. For application questions, Rose and I are at that grantinfo@impactsanantonio.org address. And Shirley, our treasurer, is available for answers for financial questions related to the project budget. These are the two emails that are the best way to get a hold of us. If you leave a message on our general either email or voicemail, it may take a little while for us to get to that and make it difficult for us to get back to you quickly. So now we're going to have an opportunity to address your questions. We have a couple more board members that are joining us for this Q&A session. Charlotte McKinney, our technology lead, oversees all of the systems we use, including Foundant, our grant management system. Carol Lee is also with us. She's our co-chair for grant oversights and outcomes. Her team has a task of working with grant recipients from immediately after the grant's awarded through completion of the project and reporting of outcomes. We'll attempt to get through as many of the questions as we can in the time we have. If we don't get to your question, you can send us a question at that grant info email and we'll get you a response. So I know Rose has been monitoring the chat throughout this session, so I'm going to turn it over to her and answer y'all's questions. So Rose?
Okay, thank you, Jenny. All right, so a lot of great information. Hopefully everybody got a lot out of this. With some great questions. I've been monitoring the chat, as Jenny said, and so there's some great questions that have actually come through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the question, and then I'm either going to turn it over to one of our panel members or just offer it up and see who wants to answer that. So first question that came up in the chat is from Roxanne. She asked, can we only submit one project per organization? I will say the short answer to that is yes. So Yvonne or Jenny, do you want to expand on that?
No, it's one application per organization.
Okay. And then also another follow-on question from her. Are you going to make these slides available prior to the call recording posting May 20th or after the call today?
No later than May 20th. We'll get them on our website. No later than May 20th.
Okay. And then a question from Robert. Do you need citations for the data and statistics we include in the proposal? Who wants to take that?
I'll take that. I would say yes. If you can give us, our grant reviewers will want to know how current are those statistics, how current is that data. So if you have that information to cite, it's all the better. That type of information will really help your cause. So if you do have it, put it in there.
Okay, Shivas, can you provide any suggestions around outcomes for a capital project? Can we include anticipated program services outcomes once the building is completed, or should we focus more on the construction outcomes directly? I believe this question was actually posted to the chat prior to Jenny talking about this one specifically, and so you should really focus more on the outcomes for the programs and services rather than the construction. So Jenny, do you want to, anything more you want to add to that one?
Yeah, I would just think about the specific construction project. What is the outcome? So is it more clients? Is it more effective? Does it, you know, we had one project a couple of years ago that was a daycare center related to, they did other services for the parents. And they said, okay, if we have daycare, the parents will be able to come to classes because they know there's a place for their kids. And so they talked about what happens when clients are more faithful in attending the classes. And so they directly connected those two things. So the more you can directly connect them, the better off you will be. So if it's just, we finished this, we built a new patio and we finished it, that's not what we're looking for. It's tricky.
Okay.
It's tough to do the connection, but
Yeah.
the more you can do it, the better off you'll be.
Okay, thank you for that. Follow-on question. If we're requesting funding for a particular piece of a capital project or budget, should we include that particular project? Should we just include that particular project and not the entire capital project budget?
But if
Jenny,
I
you wanna-
understand, if I understand that one correctly, your project, yeah, your budget should be about your project. This is where also the project budget narrative will come in for you too, because yes, we want the budget of your project where the $100,000 is specifically going to go, but you can include in your narrative that it's a smaller part of XYZ project that's going to cost this much money, and here's where where we plan to get the rest of the money for that larger project.
Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to kind of focus on some of the construction questions since we're on that topic. Another question is, we would like to request funding for a specific project within a larger capital project. Must the facility be open to the public at the end of the 2 years? Yvonne, you're on a roll. Do you want to continue?
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to necessarily be open at the end of the 2 years. We've done other projects before where our $100,000 was HVAC and plumbing. And so that was done before the entire project was done. So we know that that's not always the case. So no, it absolutely doesn't have to be open to the public at the end of the 2 years. Your project itself, wherever our $100,000 is going, is what needs to be completed within that 2 years.
Okay, and then should our project budget reflect 2 years or just 2024?
No, the 2 years.
It's the 2 years, yeah. Okay, all right, so another question. If we have services in Bexar and Guadalupe, is it best to choose Bexar, San Antonio over Guadalupe for our project since impact is San Antonio based?
No, we don't prioritize any county over another. So long as you're in our service area, we look at them all evenly.
Okay. Next question, I'm not sure exactly what this one's referring to, is what is the date for the presentation? I believe this question actually came up during the grant review section by Karen. And it might be
Grant award night?
Want to talk about timeframes for site visits?
It could be, yeah.
Site visits are normally the first, second, third of August, normally the second and third week of August. And we will work with your agency to come up with a time and date for that.
And if the question was about when is the presentation for the finalists, finalists are named in early September, and then the finalists have about 30 days till the beginning of October to prepare their presentation, which is a 5-minute video.
Okay. And here's a question for Tracy. Someone had asked, did you apply for the same project every time?
No, we did not. So this was the first time we had applied for this project with our satellites right outside San Antonio. So when I reflect back, I think we probably didn't have a compelling enough project also in the past, because we really were trying to expand and do more of what we're doing, but in bigger areas to more people that didn't have access to that otherwise. And so I meant to say that earlier, like, remember to focus on what need are you solving? What community need is there? What problem out there in the world are you solving? And then have your project address that, solving that problem.
Okay. And just another comment from another individual. Great information, Tracy. So thank you for that. Okay, next question. If a new program that is part of an expansion project idea happens to bridge between two main branches of current programs, is it best to choose which of the two main branches the new project best lives in? Who wants to take that one?
I might take a stab at that, and then Jenny, if you have anything else to add. My guess is, without really knowing specifics, my guess is it might be better to pick where it lives, simply because that might also be easier for you to come up with the appropriate outcomes, very specific outcomes, and how you're gonna monitor those outcomes. So from that perspective, I would think it might be better to pick one. I think it would also be better in terms of when grant reviewers are reading your application, that they're not confused about where it's going. And if you can narrow it down and be more specific, I think it probably will help. I don't know, Jenny, if you have any other thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm not certain. So whoever that is that submitted, you might want to clarify when you say branch. I don't know if you're talking geographic branches or if you're talking programs.
Focus
But
areas?
yeah, the simpler it is for our grant reviewers to understand what you're doing, the better off you'll be. So picking something that's more specific, I think is going to be better. If you're talking geographic, we actually have had applications that were very successful that had programs in multiple locations. And that's not a problem at all. That's easy to understand.
Okay. Okay, next question. Would you explain the amounts of the smaller grants? I'm going to give that one to Yvonne.
Sure. So $100,000 are the larger high impact grants. The smaller grants we call support grants, and those have to be a minimum of $2,500. Now that amount does vary from year to year, depending on how many members we get. So we don't have a hard and fast dollar amount on that right now, because our membership deadline is actually today. So I can't tell you what that is for this year, but it has to be a minimum of $2,500.
Okay. Next question is, we probably can't do this, but we'll put this aside for now. May you please go back to slide 31 real quick? And slide 31 is actually the key dates. So we do have the primary key dates actually on our website. If there's anything else specifically that you want to see.
Also, just a reminder, the slides and the recording will be available soon, no later than Monday, so you can go back and look at that.
Yeah. Okay. Another question, do we need, okay, so this was referring to citations. Do we need just the date and the references, or a URL for citation?
I don't think you need a URL for citation. Jenny, do you think, or even Karen, do you think your grant reviewers are going to go that far to, I mean, they probably will if you put it.
Yes, yes,
Grant
something
reviewers
will.
grant reviewers like information, so they might if you
Some
put
of,
it.
some of them do, and if you have the URL, sure, put it in there. And if you make it to the deep dive, then they may deep dive into that information.
Yeah, so we had another follow-on question asking about the specificity needed for the citations. I think between all the discussion on that, I think we probably had touched on that.
Yeah,
Yes.
we don't want to, we're not asking you to like your, doing your doctorate or anything, your master's thesis. We're not talking about needing to go probably that deep. Just if you have a quick one and you have it, put it down. But yeah, you don't need to go super deep down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
If you
you've got
think of-
information that helps make your case of why your project is very much needed in the community, then yes, put your URL in there to say, cite somebody else's information. Don't attach a lot of work though.
Yeah, if you think about it, what are the couple of key statistics that somebody that's not familiar with what your agency does, what are those couple of key things that they're going to want to know that says, oh yeah, this is a problem in my community? And then what are the couple of key statistics of, and my approach to this is one that's effective? That's really what we're looking for. So the grant reviewer says, yep, it's a problem, I get it. And yeah, I know that this agency can address that problem effectively. That's kind of the ideal.
Okay. All right, next question. Would website development be considered a capital project? Interesting.
Let us, so if you'll put that in, send that to grant info. I don't know the answer to that. My inclination is yes, but let us go back and look at some past history and see what we've done with that in the past. So whoever that is, just shoot an email to grant info and we'll get you a good answer to that question.
Okay. All right, Kate, hopefully you got that. Okay, next question. Can money be spent retroactively in 2024 if award is made in September? Again, I think the short answer to that is no. Anybody else want to?
Carol, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, and I think also just to clarify, grant award night happens in October. And so the award wouldn't happen until after that. But yes, it needs to be for costs that are incurred after that, is my understanding.
So another similar type of question, can we allocate funds in this budget for the videographer for the required videos for the finalists? Again, that's a similar, that falls under the answer that Carol had mentioned. So I would, say no, it needs to be the cost going forward for a specific project.
Can I mention
Okay.
something real quick about the video, just for
Sure.
cost's sake? Something we did this year because it was timed, our big gala was like, I think the week before the video was due and we were working on a gala video and we were like, oh my gosh, budget and all this for the video. We ended up taking like a video we had done and we got a video person who we used before, but we kind of like adapted a previous video. So we showed like some footage from our previous video and then we did, the guy himself actually did a voiceover with the impact piece of it. So I was just going to encourage, and it saved us tons of money and time because we pulled in those pieces. And we did have him add like photos of the areas we were expanding to, like put a photo of New Braunfels and put a photo of, so there was some definite ads, but just the footage of like our mission was pulled. And then he came in and then we wrote the script for him and he did that, saved time and saved money. Just so if y'all's wheels are turning, if you already have a video that you can do that too. You can't really just pull a video you have. That's not going to answer the questions that need to be answered. But if you can do like a half and half, that's kind of how it ended up working out. If you need that guy's number, he was great. He jumped in and kind of did that. Just let me know. You email me later.
And we do have copies of previous videos on our website, so you can go out and see. Some of those are, it's a mix of a lot of things. And a lot of it is people talking specifically about the project, clients talking about the project. So there's a lot of different ways to approach it.
Okay, all right, well, thank you, Tracy and Jenny. Okay, last question we actually have on chat is, can we choose more than one focus area, and can we choose both a construction project and expansion of a program thanks to the construction renovations? Again, there, I think we talked about this earlier, so it's one project application per agency. And it needs to fall under one of the focus areas. So, anybody want to expand, Jenny, Yvonne?
No, the application is actually going to force you to pick an area and pick a project type, because the questions vary based on that. So it's going to force you to pick one.
Yeah. Okay, so then we have one other question that popped up, and it's regarding the video. So I don't recall seeing video as application requirement. Is this now or at site visit stage? And it's actually, it could be at site visit stage if you decide to do a video, but then a video is also required if you are a finalist. Anything else from anybody?
You can do a video at your site visit if you want to. We do ask you to limit your presentation to about 20 minutes. So if it fits in there, then yes, that's fine.
But the video
Yes.
we've really been talking about is the one for the finalists that they present, that we show to all of our members, and that's where they use to vote. So two different things, I guess, if you're to be specific. There is a very specific video that you have to do as a finalist for our members to vote. If you choose to do it at a site visit, or as Tracy said, you know, if you've already got one that you're going to show at a site visit, and then you end up using parts of that one in your finalist video presentation, that's certainly up to you.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any agencies creating a video for a site visit. We absolutely do not have that expectation, but a lot of agencies have, you know, a quick 1 to 2 minute video about their mission, or if it's a construction project, they may already have one on the shelf that they can use. And so that's certainly appropriate, but not expected by any stretch of imagination.
Okay. All right, well, that's all the questions that we had in chat. So I'm going to just ask Tracy, based on all the questions that we had and the responses to them, anything else that you would add for the agencies that are applying?
I was just gonna say, try to enjoy the process. I know it can be or feel overwhelming, but take it in steps. So I know we kind of got talking about the video, but don't think about the video right now, because you might not even get to that point. So don't even let that like take up your brain space. Like, think about what's due next and give all your energy to that. And because if you start to think, you know, what do they say? How to eat a animal one bite at a time or something. Not an animal, but so just do the steps that are in front of you, because that way you won't get overwhelmed, and then you give all your energy to that step, and just go for it. It's a good process. Whether or not you get the funding, it's a great process to just think about project development.
Great, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Yvonne.
Can I point out one thing too? There was a comment, it wasn't a question in the chat, but I do want to point it out just because it says, I just want to point out that the user experience of this application is absolutely outstanding. We apply to lots of them, and the amount of detailed tips and effort put forth in designing the application process is wonderful. Thank you. Audrey, thank you for that. I do want to point out that this is a all volunteer organization. And so it is all volunteer women who are coming up and every year constantly trying to make that process better for you as an applicant. So I really appreciate that. And I'll take that back to the greater board for sure.
Okay.
Okay. Again, we talked about this a couple times, but one more reminder before we go. These slides and the audio recording will be posted to our Impact San Antonio website no later than May 20th. And thank you so much for your time and your engaged participation. We so look forward to seeing all of the amazing project applications that your agencies will be submitting in this year's Impact San Antonio grant process. Thank you, everybody.